Today on The Riff, Jen and John are back again talking about emotional intelligence. I think this is the only podcast where emotional intelligence meets nasal congestion and nicotine withdrawal. We hope today is helpful. Thanks for listening.
Welcome, Riff listeners. It is good to be back. It is good to have you wherever you're listening, however you're listening. That's my sports radio. They do that.
It's very good.
So thank you.
Very good. It sounded very polished.
Thank you. And I don't know if Justin usually looks at the camera when he does this, but I am John Martz, and I'm here with my co-host,
Jen Davis.
There we go. And man, this is good to be back.
It's good to be back. And it's finally fall outside. Like, it's really nice out today.
I like it. Well, I hope you're listening to this in fall. But if you're binging and it's Christmas, it's just, maybe it probably still feels like
Could
fall.
Be Easter.
I have heard that the months don't line up anymore. Okay. So fall is technically October, November, December. Mm-hmm. And so December is not even a winter month really anymore. Winter is January, February, March.
I know, it's my least favorite months, January, February.
Well, my birthday's in January.
Minus that.
But once you get past the 5th of January,
is that your birthday?
Like, let's get to summer. I completely agree. And, I have been trying, if you've been listening, and this is a difficult podcast to listen to because you're hearing my voice. I have been trying every thing under the sun to remedy my vocal cords. Mm-hmm. And I just heard something recently that this might be, if anyone's tried this Riff, you could send it in, or you could convince me not to try it. I could be convinced. I was in the office and I was talking to Cheryl
from our Republic campus.
Cheryl, of course. And Cheryl was telling me that one of the best things you can do, which this may be controversial.
Uh-oh.
I don't know.
That's what the Riff is for.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Okay. Apparently, because she's like, oh yeah, I do the Flonase, we do the, Claritin, mm-hmm. all the stuff, Zyrtec, and you rotate. And I'm like, yes, I do all that. And then she said, ooh, here's one other thing you should try. That she recently tried. I don't know if she'd want me to tell. Actually, she would want me saying this.
She tried it?
She tried it.
Herself?
Okay, yes.
Or Travis, her husband, tried it?
Nope, she did. She did. Okay. It is, for 7 days, 7 milligrams of a nicotine patch.
What?
And apparently what it does is it, resets any, long-term COVID symptoms you've had.
Oh.
I don't know.
Then do you have to start smoking to quit the patch?
I do not know.
What happens after the 7 days?
Apparently, she said it's not a big deal.
Okay.
She said it's not a big deal because it's low dose. But she did say you'll have some crazy dreams.
I think you should try it.
I don't know. I did do mouth taping and we are going to, hold on. We are going to get some content.
Mouth taping.
Yeah.
That's really dangerous. I heard that.
It's not.
It's a TikTok thing that you're not supposed to actually do.
Here's the deal. I'm a marketer's dream. So I'm not, I don't
my 14-year-old. Cooper also bought mouth tape from TikTok. And I was like, you're not supposed to use that. I love it.
Me and Coop, we're on the same. Okay. And yeah, I don't, I will. I'm a bandwagon person.
You'll try it.
Yeah, I'll try it. And so I bought a 30-day pack. I probably got through 25 days, but the dreams
really has helped.
Yeah,
it's helped your voice a lot.
Here's what happened. My sister's in the medical field, and she was just looking up all these things. She's like, there's no scientific studies that this helps you with anything. And it did make some claims that I feel like weren't true. They're like, oh, you won't get morning breath because you have your mouth taped. It's not true.
That's not true.
That's not true. I can confirm. But yeah, I had some crazy dreams. And I got pretty emotional in some of those dreams.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you wake up mad at Mel?
No. I
or sad?
Sad. Yeah.
Oh.
I dreams about my kids and stuff.
Oh.
And yeah. And I was like, I don't think I can keep doing this.
No. Maybe the nicotine patch will give you happier dreams.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe
it'll fix the cat allergy and your voice problem.
Yes. You know what? I don't know if I have a cat allergy, but I will say I've been significantly sick ever since we had the cats. Maybe I'm putting two and two together.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Okay, but all that to say, when I had those dreams, my emotions were high.
Oh.
My emotions were high. And today, what are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about emotional intelligence.
So we're talking about emotions. And what would you say, like, what is emotional intelligence?
I think it is the awareness of how you deliver messages, communication with people around you. So doesn't mean I'm going to tailor what I say. It might tailor how I say it, right? If I can be aware of the emotions that are surrounding me, if I can be aware of maybe the day that you've had or the day that somebody else that I'm going into the office with has had, I can still say the same thing that I want to say, yet I've got the emotional intelligence to maybe tailor it a little bit.
Yeah. So what you would say is almost like, hey, I'm putting myself in their shoes to understand their perspective and say, how can I shape what I'm going to say so that you don't immediately reject it, but you hear it?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
So there's an analogy that I would use like from the coaching world. And when we look at Amazon, right? Most people utilize Amazon services at some point. If I ordered mouth tape from Amazon, my expectation is that when Amazon says that's been delivered, that it's been delivered to my door.
Yeah, which mouth tape way better than face cream. So thanks for using a product that I would use.
Yeah, or my nicotine patches, whatever happens next.
I'll be looking for when those get delivered.
So the goal though is for Amazon that it comes to my address. Now, if Amazon sends me a delivery notification that says, "Hey Jen, this was delivered," and I'm like, that's not my front door in the picture, right? That's my neighbor's front door. And they're like, close enough. Go get your package. Think about that like communication. If I'm Amazon and I want to communicate something to you, my communication, my message actually needs to land how you can receive it. It actually needs to land on your front porch. So I think sometimes when we're looking at emotional intelligence, the people that really have a high level of it can deliver the message, can deliver the package, how the person can receive it. And those people that I see sometimes struggle with emotional intelligence are like, I'm just going to deliver the package to your neighbor's door and I hope you can pick it up.
Because you're thinking what's easiest for me, not what's best for you.
Yeah. And not what's best for the organization or not what's best for the team or not what's best for any community that you're in. And so when I look at the tailoring of the message, it is, how is John going to receive this? How does this move this forward? How is this a win-win? What does it look like? Because the end goal is for there to be clear, kind communication.
Yeah. And how do you know that got communicated well, right? Because I know as someone who communicates, I try to think of that often. I'm looking at faces and trying to gain any clues I can to see if this is landing, because I understand that I'm throwing something out there. You take it and you shape it however you want. And until you throw it back, I almost don't even know what you received. But walk me through that. Are there questions you ask to see, hey, how did this land? How did that go? What,
Yeah, so I think you've got a couple of different scenarios, right? Sometimes when we're communicating one-on-one. And so if I'm communicating with you and all of a sudden you're like eyes glazed over and you're kind of looking off to the side or you're checking your watch, I'm like, oh, I've missed something, right?
Body or if I'm language. Like dying coughing.
Yeah, either
is
way.
That different? Okay.
I'm just trying to talk over it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for ignoring it.
You're welcome. If it gets to be serious, I'll help. You're crying.
My eyes kind of watering.
Oh no, the emotions are coming back.
That's it.
Here we go. Here we go.
Please give it to me kindly.
I think when we look at it though, if it's one-to-one, we can watch body language, we can watch their cues. And at the end of a conversation, I might say to you, okay, John, talk me back through that. Like out of that, what was helpful? What really do you think would help move you forward, right? If we're in a coaching conversation, is there an obstacle, right? Is there something that you heard that you're like, hey, I disagree with that? Either way is fine in a one-to-one setting. Now, you're communicating a lot, a one-to-many setting. And that's challenging because when you look at a one-to-many scenario, you're right. My perception is my reality. So when you're throwing stuff out and I'm shaping it, then I have to look at it as the audience and say, was this the intention? Did it land the way that was, right? There is some responsibility for the person that's receiving the message to wrestle with it a little bit. But I think it's interesting. So tell me, like, if you're on a one-to-one scenario, what are you looking for, like, as far as feedback?
Yeah. Well, I think just asking questions is important. right? And when you ask those questions, I'm thinking, how do you ask them in such a way where you're not looking to then rebuttal an answer? You're truly looking to gain awareness. So the questions you asked, I thought were great. How did this land? What was helpful? What, when I said this, made you shut down?
What shifted your energy? What all of a sudden were you like, I don't necessarily agree with that? Because that's when we look at healthy conflict in a team. It is the ability to have differing opinions and still have a healthy conversation around it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times this is so tough because all you think about is you in a conversation. Man, I'm struggling.
It's okay. You're doing great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I got mouth tape some more. I think that would be helpful. But a lot of times all that we think about is us. So one of my favorite books, have you ever read The Alchemist?
No, I haven't. I have it, and I have yet to read it.
Oh, great book. Okay. And, it depends on what kind of books you like. But I usually read nonfiction, probably more self-help or leadership. Yeah. Biblical books. But The Alchemist is a little bit different. And one of the things it starts off with is a story about narcissist. So it starts off with a boy who goes to the lake, and every single day, I'm going to have to pause. Here we go.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, I'm back. All right. So he goes to the lake. He looks into the lake every single day, and he's able to see his reflection in the lake. He loves looking at himself. And one of the days when he's looking at his reflection, he falls into the lake, and he drowns.
Oh.
And it's sad. And where he fell in, I know, you weren't expecting that, were you?
No. The Riff is usually lighthearted. I'm missing Justin. He
took a turn.
Yeah.
Okay. He falls in the lake, and then what happens is a daisy grows where he was. And there's a tree next to the lake. The tree is looking at the lake, and the lake turns from water to salt water. Because of its tears. It's crying.
So real.
I know. For real. I'm feeling it. So, I got to try those nicotine badges.
I'll buy you one right after this.
So the tree asked the lake, why are you crying? Is it because the boy fell in? Like, the boy was so beautiful. Is it because you missed seeing the beautiful face of the boy? And the lake said, oh, was the boy beautiful? And the tree goes, well, yeah, he looked at you every day. Did you not notice? And the lake was like, well, no, the reason I'm crying is because when I looked into the boy's eyes, I could see my beauty and my reflection. And now I can't see that anymore. And I think so many times when it comes to the conversations we have, emotional intelligence, we only think of us.
It's that perception is your reality, right? I think that, like I said it earlier, my perception is my reality. That's not where it ends, though. Like, I can't live in that reality. I can't squat in that reality and roll around in it forever. At some point, I have to be like, hey, someone else might have a different reality. Somebody else might have a different perception. And every time I grow as a leader, it's when I can put myself in somebody else's shoes, right? It's when I cannot be waiting for you to finish your sentence so that I can respond. So that I am actually listening simply to listen, not listening to respond. And so when I look at like the story that you just told about the lake and the boy, I look at it and I'm reminded of times that I've not done, that I've not had emotional intelligence, or I've not led well, right? Where I've failed in it. And there have been times where there's a separate book. This is like a reading list for people. When you look at the book, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, right? They talk about the perception being a stripe on a beach ball, right?
Okay.
So when you look at the stripe on the beach ball, if I'll use my previous work history. I was in sales, right? So when I worked on a team, my stripe on the beach ball was sales, and it was production, and it was selling houses, and it was being out of the office, and it was getting into homes and showing clients and listing properties and doing all of those things. Another stripe on that same beach ball from the same team was the administrative support. And they're inputting listings and they're scheduling pictures and they're scheduling inspections and they're cleaning up most of the messes that I created, right? They're getting the initials that I forgot. They're getting the square footage that maybe I didn't have exactly right. And what would happen sometimes when I was not leading well is that I would send out of bounds emails. I would send an email or a text message at 7 p.m. at night because I was still out showing houses, or I was going into another appointment, or I was doing this. And so my immediate was, hey, John, can you do this? Hey, John, what about this? Hey, John, what about this? And from their perspective, their stripe on the beach ball, they were like, she was gone all day. I mean, what did she even do all day, right? They didn't know that I was showing houses or doing any of the other things that I was doing. Their perception was, I just got home with my family. My job is from 8 to 5. And she's texting me at 7 o'clock at night, and then she's frustrated with me that I'm not responding. And so until you have the shift from my perception is my reality, and I'm going to double down on that, and I'm going to be mad, and I'm going to prove my point, and then I'm going to say why I'm right and they're wrong, until you ever look at the other stripe on the beach ball and you shift and say, hey, what's it like? What's it like to be in that role? What's it like to work on the other side of me? What's it like to be this? What happens is until we can shift our reality or shift our stripe on the beach ball, it really is a struggle to not always be in a controversial situation with people that you work with.
Yeah, and it's one thing when you are the one helping someone through emotional intelligence. It's another thing when you are the one that is experiencing high emotions, right? Because emotional intelligence is really, emotions are high and intelligence is low.
Yes.
And that's not calling you unintelligent. It's just saying my emotions are crowding my intelligence. My emotions are so high right now that I'm not thinking clearly.
That's right.
And I've had many situations with that. If you've ever been married, you have been in that situation before. If you've had kids, their emotions are always high and relatively their intellect is lower because they're kids, and it's easy for you to stoop to that level.
It is. There's this saying, logic makes you think and emotions make you act. And I think when emotions override logic, that's what people say their kids are acting up or they're acting out or they're acting a certain, right? What happens is the emotions pull you away from center. And so there have been times like in those scenarios when I have a lot of conflict or more conflict than what would be normal for me, I tend to, at this point in my life, because I have been through it a few times, think, I might be the problem.
Yeah.
I could be the common denominator in all of this frustration and why we're having to have meetings around when we send text messages and when we send emails and when we should call people or not call. You have to start looking and saying, okay, if there's a lot of friction, what's my DNA in that?
Yeah, that's great. And I just think here's what's tough about emotional intelligence is the times that you notice you need it, it's too late. It's like, I think I need this. And I'm past that point because every time you need it, it's a pop quiz. You either have it in the bank or you don't. And I've often found that times when I don't have any margin are times that I'm the least intelligent and most emotional. I'm crowded, right? Even what you were talking about, I was working all day and I was showing houses and I was busy and I was like, you're not working as hard as I am, right? Like, so what if you get a text at 7 p.m.?
Right.
Fine.
I'm not home.
Do
You're
it
at least
first
at
thing
home.
in the morning on Monday, but like, we are not thinking of the other side, the other person, right? So some of those questions you brought up, fantastic. What's it like on the other side of me? I've asked that question often. I haven't always loved the answer to that, but
the difference is you're asking it though, right? And I think you're exactly right. So talk me through if you don't have margin and you start to see like, oh, I'm beyond the point. I don't have this in the bank, right? I've not banked my emotional intelligence. I'm getting out of whack. What are like one or two things that you might do in the next week to say, okay, I've got to get back to center?
Yeah, which I think it's one, that's a monumental point to get to. Celebrate that you got to the point that you realize that you don't have it because emotional intelligence is one of those things that you're probably listening to this podcast and you're like, well, good thing I got it.
Yeah, I'm good.
That's cute. Because we all think that we have it. And we don't. Like, unless you messed up pretty big recently, you're like, yeah, but that's something I have. So we all have to be at a spot where we are, in counseling, we'd call it preventative maintenance. This isn't something where, like, you don't want to blow up. You don't want something big to happen, but you know, when something does happen, it's a pop quiz. But some of the most helpful things when I've been in a spot where I'm realizing, like, wow, emotions are high, it's crowding my intelligence, I can't make a good decision. There's a couple things you need, when it comes to margin. Margin looks like silence and solitude. So when is the last time I was silent? And when was the last time I didn't have any distractions? And I don't know if it's like, shutting off all the lights and getting in the shower and you're just like, you're there for 10 minutes and you can't see anything. You can't do anything. You can't take your phone in there. That might be the most helpful place. Whether that is, saying a prayer, whether that's just sitting in silence and solitude and letting something rest and play out. Maybe it is going for a walk without your phone, right? Generally, we will find a way to numb. We will find a way to distract if we have the capabilities in our hand. So that is a helpful thing just to get to. And one of the questions I like to ask myself anytime I'm in a spot, like I have a tough decision to make that I kind of want to remove my pride and take it out of the way. And how do I make the best decision even though my emotions are high? I ask myself, well, really two questions. One, what would a really good leader do? So I think of a really good leader and I'm like, what do you think they would do? And if I still don't have the answer, I ask myself, what would I be proud of myself in 5 years if I did? Looking back, the decision I'm about to make 5 years from now, is it so big and so mission critical that I have to have it my way? Or is it really not going to matter? And the relationship is actually the thing I'm going to remember. So 5 years from now, how can I think back and be like, I want to smile when I think about that person. I want to smile when I think about this event. I want to smile when I think about this service. I want to smile when I think about, this group, right? This season, so many different things. And a lot of times we make knee-jerk reactions, decisions, and it's under the assumption of, we're right. We're right. And even if you're right, you can be wrong. So you could do it the wrong way, even if you are right.
Well, yeah, everyone wants to look good and be right. And the thing
So
is,
true.
if you and I have a difference of opinion, I also have to remember that you also want to look good and be right. And I've got to allow the space for that, right? And so, when you were talking about having margin and some of the questions that you ask yourself, when I'm making a decision and emotions are high, and a third question, because those are great questions. I love what would I be proud of in 5 years? I think of the people that I love most in the world. And I'll think of Caitlin, or I'll think of Cooper, or I'll think of Dan, and I'll think, if they were in the same situation, what advice would I give them?
It's so hard to see in you, but so easy to see in others.
Because you're like, I know what I would want you to do. I know what I would hope for you. I know that even though this isn't an easy decision, I'm not asking you to make the easy choice. I'm asking you to make the best choice with the hand that you've been dealt, with whatever the choices are that are on the table. What are those choices that we can make? And so, it's what you're doing with the 5-year question is you're giving yourself time. You're separating yourself from the outcome, which is very healthy. When you look at giving advice to someone else, it's the same principle of it. It just sometimes, when we get into sticky situations, it is sometimes easier to see it for other people than for ourselves.
Yeah. And I remember early on my tenure at North Point, I thought I had emotional intelligence. In fact, I thought this is one of the things I had a lot of. And it's so funny organizationally. A lot of times people don't get fired from their jobs because of low performance. We can work on low performance, especially if you have a great attitude and you have great character and you have great, we can work on that. We take time to develop that in somebody. A lot of times people get fired because of low emotional intelligence. They can't handle their emotions. They blow up on somebody. They become a jerk. And then the moment that their production starts to dwindle, it's like, well, they got nothing going for them. We got to get rid of them. But I remember there's a time, and it's oftentimes, it starts when you have high performance. And I was part of a ministry that had been started here at North Point, and I had high performance. I was like, things are going well.
Crushing
it, like for real. And no one expected this. It was, it had exceeded expectations. And so I was like, hey, why aren't people noticing that? Why am I not getting the same opportunities that other people are getting with this ministry that other ministries are getting? It didn't make any sense to me. And so I remember my young self, right? So this would have been, I don't even want to date myself, but probably 7-8 years ago.
Okay.
But there was like an opportunity. Hey, we want to shout out our ministries on a weekend, yada yada. And the ministry I was leading wasn't a part of that. And they're like, well, it's not really like a centralized ministry. It's just at one of the campuses. And I was like, and I took that personally, So I crafted this long rebuttal in a very public forum where all of North Point is going to get to read it. Okay.
Nice.
And I said it. We had a new leader at the time at the Springfield campus. And so I had sent it to him and I'm like, bro, like, what do you think? Like, should I send this? Should I, and I knew I'm right. I'm like, I'm right. And he looked at me and he's like, have you ever heard of EQ? And I'm like, well, yeah, I was in music. So like EQing vocals and different things. And he's like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. He's like, have you ever heard of emotional intelligence? And I'm like, I think. And he's like, this has no emotional intelligence in it. And this is a leader I respected. And I'm like, this is a leader that actually, here's the deal. This leader loved me. And he's like, would you send this to Mel if Mel was the one on the receiving end? I'm like, no. I was like, no, I wouldn't send this to Mel because I love Mel. He's like, exactly. So it's so funny. That sparked a deep dive in me of like, what is going on? Why do I feel entitled to this? Why do I feel like everyone needs to see my point of view? Why am I not focused on seeing anyone else's point of view? Like, it was one of those eye-opening, defining moments of like, thank God I had a leader that didn't let me send that. I mean, I probably still could have, but I didn't. And I'm like, thank God. And now I get to look back on all these relationships that I still have, probably because I didn't send something like that. And at the end of the day, it wasn't the end of the world. And he's like, I'm not even against what you're saying. It's how you're saying. He's like, pick up the phone and call. Don't send this passive aggressive, message.
That's right.
So there are better avenues for doing these things. So walk me through, we got a couple more minutes. Walk me through, emotions are high. In Jen Davis. Okay. Things are, you're like, it's clouding my judgment right now. I'm not for sure I can, I don't know if I'm going to handle this situation well. What's a quick tactic that you would do?
I always am going to take a minute. I'm always going to ask for time. Okay. I actually don't save lives in any job that I do. Like I'm not performing CPR. I'm not doing any of those types of things. So for the most part, if I can get myself distance, I can get myself clarity. Because the closer I am to the situation, the more I think I'm right. Generally speaking, the more my ego is involved.
Yeah.
And so for me, if I can separate myself, so my very first tactic is always going to be, hey, John, I can feel myself getting, I can feel myself getting frustrated. I feel like, is there any way that we could take a 30-minute break and talk about this later? Or could we meet tomorrow, right? If it's a big enough issue, I'm going to give myself the night. I certainly am not sending a message. There is 0% chance that someone's going to get a very harshly worded something from me that's in written form, because I might type it, but I'm not going to hit send.
Yes.
And that, I think, is for me the one thing that I have learned about myself is that I do have good judgment. I do have good intelligence when I can separate my ego from it. And so for me, my number one is always going to be distance. If that's not an option, if distance isn't an option, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to neutral language. And so I'm not going to say, well, I think, or you think, or your perspective, or more my perspective. I'm going to say, okay, here's what I know. Can we agree that these are the three facts that we understand? Okay. My next step is going to be, if John is this passionate about it and I am this passionate about it, how much effort would it take me to argue your side of it and you to argue my side of it? Can we flip-flop roles? Because what it's going to do is it's going to force me to be in your shoes. It's going to force me to creatively think about a solution from a different angle.
That's a fun game to play.
It is. You look at it, though, and you think, gosh, the things that we are passionately against or absolutely fundamentally disagree with in certain circumstances, what would it look like if we argued the other side of it?
Yeah. And generally, I find that I actually fundamentally don't disagree with much.
Agreed.
And when I do, we actually come to a pretty quick conclusion of like, oh, okay, I guess we see that different. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean that we can't be friends. It doesn't mean we have to be friends either.
It doesn't mean I have to celebrate your choice or you celebrate mine, but it does mean I'm human and I understand that you're human and that I can look and say, okay, while I may not agree with it, I can understand it.
Absolutely. Well, Riff Raff, I hope that you can not walk out of here. You're listening.
We're going to walk out of here, though.
We are going to leave.
Some point.
We're not going to talk about you, okay? But you can talk about us if you want.
Totally fine.
But thanks for stumbling through this message. You maybe heard over under 50 coughs, but thanks for hanging in there. And I hope this is helpful. I hope that this can maybe save you from some heartache a little bit later. I hope this, in a moment of like high emotions, you can understand, hey, how do I take a step back? How do I maybe see this from a different perspective? What's a couple questions I can ask? How can I just give myself some time to let my emotions come down and my IQ go up a little bit? And what would I be proud of 5 years from now? We truly want you to, like, for real, like, what a gift that would be. If 5 years from now, you're really proud of the relationships you have, you're proud of the conversations you've had, you're proud of the people that are in your life, instead of I made knee-jerk decisions that actually created obstacles around some of my favorite relationships, and they've distanced me from some of my favorite people. And so we hope that's helpful for you today.
Have a good one.
We love you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Riff. We'll have a brand new episode every week, wherever you find podcasts.